Settle in. Let your breathing slow and your thoughts grow quiet. Tonight we travel far back in time across centuries of dust, stone, and sunlight to a world of slow endurance and steady purpose. Imagine a vast landscape under a pale sky, where the hum of insects mingles with the soft clink of metal on rock. Here, men work with patient rhythm, shaping the veins of an empire roads that will outlast them by thousands of years. These are the builders of the Roman roads, the unsung laborers, surveyors, and engineers who laid out lines across Europe, Africa, and the Near East path so straight and enduring that many still guide modern travelers today. For the next 2 hours, we'll walk quietly beside them. We'll watch the rhythm of their days, trace the story of the Appian Way, explore the hidden remains of forgotten roads beneath forests and fields, and reflect on the contrast between those who built and those who commanded. So, take a slow breath. Let the world around you fade as we begin our journey down a long, sunlit road stone by stone, mile by mile. Imagine waking before dawn in the camp of a Roman construction crew. The air is still cool, and the first light touches the canvas of the tents, muted and gray. The builders rise slowly, stretching aching limbs, brushing the dust from their tunics. Around them, the faint smell of smoke lingers from last night's fire's charred wood, damp earth, and the faint salt of sweat and leather. They are not soldiers, though their discipline might suggest otherwise. Many are slaves or contracted workers, drawn from the provinces. Others are skilled engineers, architecti and agrimensors, the surveyors who measure and mark the course of the road. Each day begins with preparation, tools checked and sharpened, carts loaded with gravel and timber, and the line of the road marked out with taut cords stretching across the terrain. By sunrise, the work begins. The rhythm is steady, hammering, lifting, shoveling, tamping down. The sound of metal striking stone carries across the hills, a slow and constant percussion that seems to mark time itself. Dust rises in the air, softening the edges of the world. The builders work in teams, some breaking rock, others digging trenches for drainage. A few, the most experienced, lay the foundation stones by hand, aligning them with care, one beside the other. There is a little conversation. Labor speaks its own language. The clang of iron, the crunch of gravel beneath sandals, the creak of wooden wheels. These are the voices of the day. Occasionally a supervisor passes, calling out quiet instructions in Latin. The builders pause, wipe their brows, and continue. There is no hurry, only progress. At midday, the heat presses down like a weight. The workers rest in the thin shade of an olive tree or beside a cart. They drink watered wine, eat bread that is dry and dense, and sometimes olives or salted fish. Around them, the hum of cicadas fills the air, a steady hypnotic sound that blurs thought and time. In the distance, the line of the road stretches onward, pale scar cutting through the green of fields and scrub. It seems endless, but each day adds a few more meters, a few more carefully placed stones. The Romans called it via strata, the layered way. Beneath their feet are the tiers, large foundation stones, gravel, sand, and finally the smooth paving slabs that will bear carts and armies alike. As evening falls, the workers gather again at camp. The light softens to gold, and the sound of hammers fades. Smoke rises from cooking fires. A faint wind carries the scent of oil and bread, mingling with dust and stone. The men sit quietly, mending sandals, scraping dirt from their hands. Some hum old songs from home, soft and tuneless. Others simply stare into the dusk, eyes half-lidded, their bodies heavy with fatigue but their minds calm with the rhythm of routine. Beyond the horizon, other teams work the same way, at other stages of the same great project. Together, though separated by miles, they form a single living line of path that will stretch from the heart of Rome to the edges of empire. And as the stars appear faint and steady, their light falls upon those same stones that, centuries later, will still be there, silent and enduring. The builders lie down on the hard earth. The night insects begin their quiet chorus. The hammers rest, the fires burn low, and the road, their endless companion, waits patiently for the morning sun. The Appian Way, Appia Antica, was more than a road. It was a statement of intent, a promise of permanence from a young republic that believed itself destined to rule. Its creation began in 312 BCE under the supervision of Appius Claudius, a Roman censor whose name the road still bears. He was a man of ambition, but also of vision. At a time when Rome was expanding its influence across the Italian peninsula, he saw the need for a direct, reliable Route 1 that would connect Rome to the southern city of Capua and later all the way to Brindisium, the gateway to the east. Imagine the first days of construction. The plan spread across a wooden table in the censor's office, lines and measurements marked carefully in ink. Outside, engineers prepare their instruments, the groma for alignment, the chorobates for leveling. Surveyors walk the terrain with methodical precision, placing wooden stakes, measuring distance by paces and ropes. The vision is immense, a ribbon of stone that will cross hills, marshes, and plains. It will cut through forests, span rivers, and pass near the tombs and estates of the elite. The work begins near the southern gate of Rome, the Porta Capena. There, amid the noise of carts and the murmur of the city, the first foundation stones are laid. Each layer of the road has a purpose. Beneath the surface lies stamen, large, irregular stones forming a solid base. Above that, rutted smaller stones mixed with lime to create strength. Then nucleus, a layer of compacted sand and gravel, carefully leveled. And finally, summum dorsum, the paving stones themselves, fitted so tightly that even centuries of rain and footsteps will not separate them. To the men who built it, this was not glory, it was labor. But to Appius Claudius, it was legacy. He was known for his reforms, for bringing water to the city through aqueducts, and for opening political rights to the common people. Yet it was this road, stretching straight and firm across the Italian countryside, that became his monument. Over time, the Appian Way carried armies bound for conquest and merchants bound for trade. Pilgrims and messengers, exiles and travelers, all walked or rode upon its surface. Along its edges rose tombs and villas, inns and milestones. The road became a living artery, pulsing with the life of the empire. When you walk upon it, today still paved in places with the same stones, you can almost hear the echoes. It's the roll of wagon wheels, the distant tramp of sandals, the faint murmur of Latin speech carried on the wind. Each stone, smoothed by centuries, bears the memory of countless journeys. Appius Claudius himself would not see its completion. Others carried on his vision, extending the road farther south, to reach the ports from which ships departed toward Greece and Egypt. In its endurance, the Appian Way outlived its builder, its armies, and even the empire itself. In the quiet of the evening, when the sun dipped low behind the 7 hills, the road gleamed faintly in the fading light, a straight, unwavering line into the distance. A reminder that even in the vastness of history, purpose can be laid down one stone at a time. And so, as the centuries passed, the road endured, hidden beneath layers of dust, yet always there waiting to be rediscovered. Centuries later, long after the empire had faded, the Roman roads began to vanish beneath new growth. Forests reclaimed them. Rivers shifted, flooding low stretches and burying their surfaces in silt. Towns rose and fell beside them, sometimes unaware that their foundations rested upon the bones of a forgotten road. Today, archaeologists still trace those lost routes. Beneath farmlands and meadows, they find fragments, lines of cobbled stone visible only after heavy rain, or faint ridges in the soil seen from the air. Sometimes a farmer's plow strikes something solid, and a pattern emerges. A straight, unnatural line, unmistakably Roman. The Romans built their roads with an obsessive sense of order. Straightness was more than efficiency, it was philosophy. Their roads ignored the land's natural curves, cutting through hills rather than bending around them. They imposed geometry upon wilderness. And even now, that geometry remains faintly visible beneath centuries of change. In the forests of Gaul, archaeologists have uncovered stretches of perfectly preserved road hidden under the roots of trees. The stones, untouched by sunlight for over 1,000 years, still bear the marks of chisels in Britain near ancient forts. Drainage ditches once flanking the roads have become shallow valleys, marking where carts once passed. And in Italy, where the earth is rich and layered with history, forgotten roads lie beneath vineyards and olive groves. When modern engineers dig foundations, they sometimes uncover the old paving stones still aligned with uncanny precision. The workers pause, brush away the soil, and marvel at the craftsmanship. Then they cover it once more, leaving the past to its quiet slumber. In the city of Rome itself, some roads lie buried under meters of modern stone and brick. Scholars, mapping old records and texts, use satellite imagery to reconstruct their paths. They trace them not just as lines of travel, but as veins of memory each, one carrying stories of those who walked before. It is said that if you stand upon a certain hill at dawn, when mist covers the fields, you can see faint traces of these roads appearing like ghost lines of pale grass that stretch toward the horizon, straight and true. The mystery is not only where the roads are, but what they remember. Beneath their stones lie fragments of sandals, rusted nails, pottery shards, remnants of ordinary life. The footprints of builders, pressed into ancient clay, sometimes remain intact. The echo of a worker's passing moment preserved for millennia, and so the roads continue to speak, though softly. Not in words, but in alignment, endurance, and silence. They are reminders that human effort, quiet, persistent, and deliberate, can outlast empires and time itself. High above the dusty plains, emperors once rode in gilded carriages, their wheels turning smoothly over stones laid by nameless hands. The roads were symbols of their dominion millstone, engraved with the name of the ruler under whose reign it had been built. But for the men who built them, there was no marble, no inscription. Only the sound of hammer on stone, the weight of dust upon the skin, the endless repetition of labor. The emperor's decree might order a road from Rome to the sea, but it was the hands of thousands that made it real. Each stroke of a pickaxe, each measured placement of a slab, brought imperial vision into being. It was a vast partnership, one of command and endurance. In distant provinces, soldiers maintained the roads, repairing damage after storms or floods. Along the routes, milestones bore imperial titles: Augustus, Trajan, Hadrian. The stones proclaimed their authority, yet the work itself was humble, grounded in sweat and patience. The roads connected the worlds of privilege and poverty. Along them traveled senators in chariots, but also farmers leading mules, monks carrying scriptures, and merchants bearing salt or grain. The same stones that supported an emperor's army also bore the bare feet of a beggar. In this way, the Roman road was both grand and ordinary, was an achievement of power, but also of endurance, the quiet endurance of countless unnamed builders whose work shaped the daily rhythm of the empire. And when night fell, the emperors dined in marble halls, while the workers rested by the roadside, wrapped in their cloaks beneath the stars. Yet in the darkness, it was the road, their shared creation, that united them. For when all else has crumbled, the stones remain. As the centuries rolled onward, the empire faded, and the roads fell silent. Grass grew between the stones, and the sound of sandals gave way to the whisper of wind. Yet beneath the soil, the foundations endured. Today, travelers still walk along the remains of the old Roman ways. Some are uneven and broken, others perfectly preserved. And as they walk, they retrace the steps of countless lives: soldiers, merchants, engineers, slaves, all moving with purpose, bound together by the rhythm of their journey. The builders themselves are long forgotten, their names lost to time. But their work remains calm and enduring, stretching across the landscape like the memory of an ancient heartbeat. So as you drift into sleep, imagine that long road, once more the feel of smooth stone beneath your feet, the warm scent of dust and sun, and the quiet hum of effort that never truly ends. The empire may have fallen, but the path endures. And like that road, the work of human hands continues, steady, patient, eternal.